Hey, this is Raphael from Hinterland, creative director on The Long Dark, and I'm here to walk you through some of the gameplay changes we're rolling out in our July update. First off, you may notice we've added a reticle fade, so that the reticle only appears when you are within range and looking at something interactive. This means that when moving through the wilderness and scanning the horizon, your view won't be marred by any UI elements. This is part of our minimalist UI philosophy, and we hope you like the clear view. You'll also see that we've updated the warmer, colder text in the HUD, which was there to indicate when you were sheltered from or exposed to the wind. While demoing the game at E3, we had the chance to observe a lot of players who thought the warmer, colder information was a navigation helper. In other words, warmer meant they were getting closer to their destination. We realized that this warmer, colder text might be really misleading, so we replaced it with a simple windshield icon. When you see this icon on the HUD, it means you are currently in a position that is sheltered from the wind. This can make a huge difference to how cold you feel and how effectively a campfire is able to warm you up. We've also updated the player movement model. For a long time, we've recognized that the distinction between walking and running felt largely irrelevant in the game. Even though you burn a lot more calories when running in the game, we realized that most players simply run everywhere because it's faster, and the calorie cost is not significant enough to make the choice very meaningful. Rather than make running more expensive, we decided to remove it as a modal state entirely. So now you simply walk through the world, and your walking speed is modified only by the terrain. Inclines mean you go faster or slower, or how tired you are. I should note that we tuned the walking speed to be faster than the previous speed, as we felt walking was a bit too slow, and we had a lot of community feedback that supported this increase. Sprinting is much faster than walking, but makes you quite tired, so it should be used sparingly. When you use up all your sprint stamina, it takes some time for it to recharge. You need to decide if you should use it simply to cover some ground, or save it in case there's something dangerous around the next hill. The biggest change in this update is that we've removed our more abstract wood foraging system and introduced the idea of direct harvesting from the environment. You'll now find there are different fuel resources randomly placed in the world. These take the form of sticks, branches, and limbs, some of which can be harvested instantly, and others that require time and a tool to do so. Adding a piece of fuel to an active fire will increase the heat output and burn time of that fire. The more readily available wood is cheap but low value. The harder to get wood produces a lot more heat and burns for much longer. So the sticks and branches you find around the world are easy to get, but won't last long, or do much to warm you up if it's very cool. But they're abundant and ensure you can get a fire started. In Pilgrim and Voyageur modes, any fire will immediately prevent you from freezing. In other words, will stop inflicting condition loss from freezing as long as you have a fire going and are sitting next to it. In Stalker, you have to get your fire hot enough to counteract how cold the environment is. Please note that even in Pilgrim and Voyageur, a fire won't warm you up unless you manage to get it hotter than the environment around it, so while you may not continue freezing, you may not warm up either. The direct harvesting extends to interiors as well, where you can now break down furniture items to get reclaimed wood, and even break down curtains and other items for their cloth resources. Keep in mind that broken furniture items don't come back, and you might be surprised how empty your favorite interior feels once you've broken all the furniture. But desperate times, like getting stuck inside a house during a blizzard, call for desperate measures, and since you can't simply forage from just outside a cabin's doorway anymore, breaking down the furniture could be the difference between life and death. This is a really big change for the game, and although we've playtested it a lot, we expect unforeseen outcomes, and we hope you'll continue to be patient with us as we tune this new resource economy over time. Our hope is that this new system will both make the game world feel more dynamic, provide you with more interesting gameplay choices, and also result in a lot more outdoor exploration and overnight camps, now that outdoor fires feel a lot more viable and immediately useful. We've revamped many of our weather effects. Snow in particular has had an overhaul and now looks much better, fuller, and is better optimized. We've also increased the variability of weather, and in particular wind. Wind will now change speed and direction more frequently, which should help make the world feel more dynamic, and also keep you on your toes in terms of where you choose to take shelter. We should also note that we've implemented, in Pilgrim and Voyageur modes, a chance that you will wake up if your fire goes out when you're asleep. In Stalker, you're on your own, as the hardcore survivalists among you seem to prefer. One of the systems we've struggled with the most on this project is how to make wolf interactions an interesting challenge from a gameplay perspective. We've never wanted the game to devolve into more of an action experience, and wolf struggles have remained one of the only places in the game where you actively have to fight against something. We've toyed with many different ideas, and prototyped various systems including first-person combat, where you would actually see a knife or hatchet on screen while you fought with a wolf, but in the end, those solutions never felt right to us. What we've done in this iteration is make wolves more survivable in the short term, but much less so in the long term. Meaning, if you end up tangling with a wolf, you're likely to walk away from it, but probably not without it inflicting a bunch of wounds on you, including lacerations, bruising, infection risk, blood loss, and torn clothing. It's the proverbial death by 1,000 cuts. As part of the overhaul of the struggle system, we've also replaced our entire first aid interface with something a lot more user-friendly. Keep in mind that it's also now possible to suffer multiple instances of an affliction. For example, you can have multiple blood loss events and be losing condition over time from each of them, and now you have to triage between all of your various afflictions. Our revised first aid interface makes this possible. We've also added more depth to the first aid system by introducing new injuries and afflictions. Lacerations and bruising, for example, which are one-time damage events, wrist sprains, which prevent you from being able to use a rifle or bow, and hypothermia, the result of being freezing for too long, and which forces you indoors to warm up, otherwise you become more and more tired and gradually die as your body fails. So those are some of the major things we've added to the game in the July update. As you can see, it's a big one for us, and represents some of the biggest gameplay changes we've made to the game since releasing it. We believe this new enhanced gameplay will really extend the life of the game, and give you many more interesting decisions to make in the current sandbox. We're really excited about how the sandbox is evolving, as it's giving us an amazing foundation for our work in story mode, and we're especially excited by the excellent feedback we continue to receive from the community. We thank you so much for being a part of this process with us, and we hope you like this update. Please make sure you share your feedback in our forums, either at hinterlandforums.com if you're a PC or Xbox player, or in the Steam forums for the Long Dark. And next update, a new region for you to explore. Thanks, and we'll see you back in the Long Dark.